This is the Scrap Metal Commodities Recycling and Economic Report by BENLEE, Roll-Off Trailers and More, June 11, 2018. Last week, prices were mixed, and most economic reports were actually pretty positive. U.S. steel production fell slightly, to a level slightly behind last year, despite U.S. tariffs and a good economy. We would expect to see increases in the coming months. Oil held somewhat steady, ending at $65.88 on little news after hitting new highs 3 weeks ago. U.S. oil production hit an all-time high of 10.8 million barrels per day as higher prices continue to bring higher production. Iron ore rose $1.50 to $67 a ton on a good balance of supply and demand and no major news. Scrap steel, number one heavy melt, fell slightly to $3.88 a gross ton on a balance of supply and demand around the world and a slow growth environment. Hot-dip galvanized steel held near the multi-year highs of $11.90 a ton as demand remains good and raw material prices remain pretty high. Copper rose 10 cents to $3.29 a pound, near a multi-year high as all remains good in the economy. Copper remains known as Dr. Copper, the metal with a PhD. It knows when the economy is good, so prices rise. Copper is down 4 cents this morning to $3.25. The 5-year chart shows copper prices near the multi-year high on continued good global growth, including major increases in demand from China. Copper inventories were little change on the news that China imports have been increasing in recent months and a good balance of supply and demand. Aluminum was little changed at 103.1 as new tariffs are disrupting global supply chains. Aluminum LME inventories fell slightly, approaching new 8-year lows on solid demand and good supply. May's U.S. vehicle sales fell to 16.91 million, a good number, but the lowest in about 10 months. Data is showing younger people today are driving less and cars are lasting longer, as we all know. April's U.S. job openings rose to a new all-time high of 6.7 million, driven by a surge in vacancies in durable goods manufacturing and information firms, while finance and insurance companies saw declines. April's U.S. trade deficit actually narrowed to $46.2 billion, the best in 7 months, as exports hit a new record high, boosted by sales of industrial materials and soybeans, while overall exports edged down 0.2%. June's U.S. IBD TIPP Optimism Index increased to 53.9%. It was the strongest reading since March, as the Personal Financial Outlook sub-index rose, but the 6-month forward-looking outlook about how consumers feel about the economy fell slightly. China's May trade surplus with the rest of the world narrowed to $24.92 billion. Imports jumped 26% to a new record, while exports rose a softer 12.6%. Imports of copper, iron ore, and soybeans all rose from the previous month. China's unwrought copper imports rose to a 17-month high of 475,000 tons, a huge 21.8% increase ahead of last year. May's U.S. Composite Purchasing Managers Index rose to 56.6, the fastest expansion in the private sector since April 2015, driven by strong growth in services and manufacturing. Nothing other than a great report. Wall Street's Dow Jones average rose a big 680 points for the week, despite major trade tensions and before the major disagreement with Canada's Prime Minister over the weekend. Lastly, our congratulations to Dan Wall on the acquisition of Raleigh and Goldsboro Metal Recycling. My personal thanks to all our associates, customers, and suppliers for the 11 years of business, with the last 4 being in a very, very difficult environment. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions, and we hope all have a safe and profitable week.